upgrade that spell stone from resurrecting 2 minions to resurrecting 4.
Draws another resurrect. And Ragnaros, I don't think is really the prettiest minion for Torres to see right here. I mean, it's still pretty darn good, but it's stuff like this that ends up being a problem where Voidlord actually squares off against Ragnaros quite.
These very high health minions that Jinsoo is going to have here. This is sticky. If Rag is stolen by Sylvanas, then Rag does not end up firing off a Psychic Scream here. You don't want to give Jinsoo all of these phenomenal minions back in the deck for him to just raw at a later time, but Torres can't deal with them effectively right now. He just needs to... And there is the off chance that this game goes very, very late. Jinsoo, with both N'Zoth and Gul'dan, means he's going to be able to life tap a little bit more.
Yeah, Shadow Essence makes a copy of the minion from your deck. It does not actually directly pull it, so you can get multiple copies of the same. You're talking about these slow value-oriented games, because then look at right here. Voidlord just puts such a big hurt on this Ragnaros. Like, half of its shots and now just don't feel like they're really doing anything. So, to me, shot.
I think that's certainly very reasonable. Taking the Excavated Evil, so he wants to play Shadowed Horror still this turn, but holding onto that Excavated Evil because Torres knows there will be many more Voidwalkers hitting the board this game.
That's a very good point, too, is that he's got plenty of Resurrect effects in hand.
3 Resurrects right now.
Or its Resurrect effects. And since you know that your opponent has, been shadow visioning for these extra cards, that it's probably not the bad ones. And so just going to make a bunch of Void Lords and say, deal with this. And I think this is probably the right way to play this. Well, that sets up the Void Lords to die. Just
this is a weird game.
Giddy up. He's just going to kill the opposing Ragnaros to secure the damage, and I think this is wonderful. The fact that he's got his own Ragnaros in hand, the fact he's got Mal'Ganis, it means that he can produce more damage no matter how you slice this.
Does Torres have a way of even surviving here?
Thinking Obsidian Statue? Date.
Why do we even want this to hit?
It is hope territory. You want it to hit the Ragnaros or the Lotheb, one of those two.
Like, you need it to hit the Ragnaros, and you need to hope that Jinsoo's Ragnaros hits your Ragnaros.
Oh.
Then maybe you have a little bit of breathing room.
Well, I got bad news for Torres. There's another Ragnaros.
10 damage on the board. Well, Mal'Ganis is just...
Right? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also got Mal'Ganis. That's more bad news for you.
It wasn't bad enough. How about we just kill you? Yeah?
I think any way you slice that, it was a lethal setup for Jinsoo. Lotheb secures a game.
It's still pretty good.
Okay, yeah. I'm dumb. You just cannot escape getting Ragnaros off of this.
I'm not mad about it.
And that's not the hit you want.
Turns of Torres being able to clear the board. And then, like we saw in a situation in the last game, rapid fire Ragnaros Resurrection.
Oh boy.
Well,
Infestation a lot next turn. So rather than use the Wrath and draw the card now, just hang on to it, trade off the Ragnaros this way, and you prevent just outright burning a card. He's just going to leave it there?
I mean, he's doing the same thing he did last game. If you Okay.
Well, 2 of the 8/8 versions is a little bit more scary. So this is the payoff that you get for having the weak Ragnaros turns, is that then you get strong Ragnaros turns.
Okay. And okay, so we're starting to clean up this board a little bit here. Jinsoo can kill off one of the Rags with that ultimate infestation. Start drawing through the entire deck. Now we're going to find the poison seeds. Now we're going to find continuous pressure onto the board.
So it is important to have a wider death pool in order to get that done. That's the reason I'm looking at the Shadow Essence and tending to favor that.
It's a reasonable pick. At least it's not Barnes again.
It's not the one you want. Oh, wow. That's an important burn. For Torres is starting to get to his scary turns as well.
You just want this Ragnaros to hit something that's not good. Unfortunately, Jinsoo putting a lot of stuff on the board. He's putting a lot of good stuff on the board, but still diluting the Rag.
And that's one of the reasons I think you're seeing Torres just really put Jinsoo to the test turn after turn. Is it's important for him to have an aggression factor somewhere in the game. He can't just let it go on forever. God, I love Ragnaros.
So great.
It was so weak on the Shadow Essence early on, but it's the pressure that it's amounted to afterwards that's big. Shadow Visions to get a Resurrect. He's going to go for it.
Now. There was a turn where Jinsoo just could have...
I think it's the second Jade that really influenced this.
Yeah.
Like, if it was one Jade thing to make, I'm not sure this would have happened. But the two Jade things to make, it's a lot of damage that Torres is going to have to face down, and so he needs to consider, you know, what does it look like if I have to use a Light Bomb in this circumstance?
There was just a feasible clear this.
Too. And there's the Yash.
But, these Jades are starting to hit that pinnacle. They're going... Okay. So
it's quite surprising how well that Jade Druid is able to tackle this pressure. You know, again, I don't have like a ton of experience with the Big Priest Jade Druid matchup, but Jade Druid against the decks that want to do like the big unfair stuff seems to be like the deck that's doing fair stuff and winning as a result.
Missed a turn yet?
Well, this certainly isn't a miss. Clear two Jade things, play a big thing.
Yasharaj.
But again, notice that he's been missing, you know, Lich King. He needs some sort of value generation here.
Pretty good.
I'll just play a 10-10.
Do we like the 11-11, or is it just a little bit much?
I'll just play an 11-11. Now, funny to note, though, that Psychic Screams are not the ideal draws in a lot of circumstances, but it's an attrition matchup, really, for Jinsoo. He wants to exhaust the resource potential from Torres and have just... You have to worry about the Poison Seed's counter effect as well. And there's Yash. But Yasharaj right now is looking awfully weak.
He's looking small and sad and a little bit helpless. Oh, gee. Let's find out. It's Jinsoo, a Muzz-style good player. Oh, the Muzz would be proud.
Yep. Jinsoo is confirmed a fantastic player with that play. And now the corner further and further.
Every draw is just worse and worse. And he's got good cards left in the deck. Couple of Spellstones, a Shadow Visions, Obsidian Statue, Lich King.
I looked at the deck again just to make sure. Another missed shot, and I believe that's going to be wrapping things up. Jinsoo, 2-0 lead now over Torres, who has not been able to get it done with Big Priest. And it's looking like one of the decks that many consider a titan of the format is being tossed around right now like a little rag doll.
Titans.
Torres, I mean, I don't want to say the rag whisperer because he keeps getting the wrong shots, but he keeps showing up.
I think he may be stealing Amaz's title. Rag Whisperer has since retired.
Good job, Knife Juggler.
Expertly knows how to navigate this matchup. He knows when to kill minions. He knows when not to.
Now, it doesn't stop Eternal Servitude. That one is a discovery effect, but lots of divine...
Stick a couple onto the board, and suddenly Shadowward Horror isn't an effective AoE.
It's really, really tough to pass up a Ragnaros kill in this spot. Misses the knife. Hits the second.
Well-trained knife jugglers.
Keeping that 1-1 around.
Put this apple on your Ragnaros.
And still lots of gas to go in the tank for Torres here. Oh my.
That's just about the best option.
All right, I'm looking at a poisonous adapt here.
Wow. We can afford to trade over this pair of Yasharaj. Because Torres has plenty of ways to get them back.
Yeah, the two pulls would be Obsidian Stat.
And we're quickly rolling into
so good.
The later stages of the game where Torres can just play another Obsidian Statue from hand defensively if he needs to.
I think this might be all she wrote.
Yeah, without that equality left. Jinsoo gonna
go ahead and play the big lion and a couple of men. That's you know, that's a 5-5 versus not a 5-5. So you take the 5-5 in that instance.
I could have the bigger stuff, or I could have the smaller stuff.
Tables turned. And that's why Jinsoo actually didn't trade on the previous turn as well. If he had traded...
Cabal Crystal Lion. I like that. I like that. There's the hybridization. So Torres, in this Paladin deck, has 2 copies of Equality, no copies of Consecration. That's not unusual for Dude Paladin, but unfortunately in the mirror you would much rather have Consecration than the equalities here. And Jinsoo pulling both of these knife jugglers. Now Torres, if it wasn't difficult enough, in this case, Torres just going to have to.
Quality and hope.
Maybe he thinks he can draw into some of his broken turns too. Find those call to arms. Maybe leverage his own knife jugglers.
Oh, so many juggles. It's so many juggles.
It's almost cathartic.
And they are really angry specifically at Torres right now.
They're like, you beat us in the last
What
game.
is happening?
We wanted 2-3-0.
I actually don't know if that's the best play.
Hero Power and Stegadon may have
It shuts
been
off
better.
call to arms.
No, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's way better.
If call to arms with a couple of knife jugglers is the only way Torres gets back in this.
And I think it is. This is a lot of damage. No dice. It's
no life.
It's the old Sunkeeper Tarum and hope that this is enough to find a recovery. Quality.
That's going to be game. Jinsoo.
Slice it how you want. It's not enough on board. 3 games to 1. Able to dominate Big Priest in this set. Jinsoo's going to move on and find himself 1 match away from coming to California.
I will admit.